welcome. I have a question for you. Do you love being challenged and growing? My thought is, oh, really? Because every time I've grown, it's been painful. It's not been what I think people are talking about. People say they love growing. People say they love being challenged, but I don't love being challenged. I rise to the occasion, but I don't like it. I like doing what's comfortable. I like doing what I know to do, but I've made a habit of doing new things and challenging myself to help overcome the anxieties of failing and not being good at something and, embarrassing myself in front of others. But most of the time, when people say they love growing, what they mean is they love watching podcasts and being, encouraged, inspired. They read 3 books a week, or they love going to conferences. But can I tell you, listening to podcasts, reading 8 books a week, and going to a dozen conferences a year is not how you grow. It doesn't make you better. James 1:22 says, "Be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." Here's the truth I want you to hear today. Growing is when you apply what you've heard in that podcast, when you apply what you have learned in those books, when you apply and put into practice what you've learned at the conference. And what I have found is that's a whole lot harder than what people call growing when they're just listening to the podcast, or they're listening to the audio book, or they're reading the book, actually reading a physical book, or going to a conference. You have to be a doer of what you're hearing. You have to put it into practice. That's called discipline. And I have found we don't like discipline. We want to take a pill and be changed. We want to go to a conference and hear a truth and all of a sudden have a mega church. But the truth is, real growth is almost always painful. It's putting into practice something you have never done before. And that takes diligence. And it's not fun. Many times it's boring. But once you do that new thing over and over and over again, where it becomes a part of who you are, now you have actually grown. When you put into practice what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've learned, now you've become a doer and not a hearer only. It's interesting, the scripture says, you deceive your own self. You might think you're growing, but you're the only one that believes you're growing. When you've actually grown, others see it, others know it, and you become a benefit to them because you know some things. You've put it into practice. Now you can speak with integrity, with experience. Lots of people have told me what they would do if they had this, or what they would do if they saw that, but you actually don't know what you would do till you're in that situation. So I want to challenge you today that if you think you love being challenged, or you think you love growing, I want you to reassess and ask yourself, do you really like being challenged in front of your peers? Do you really like being put on the spot in front of those who you want to respect you? Do you really like growing, or do you really like listening to podcasts and reading books and getting inspired? I've working with a generation now that loves podcasts, and they're always sending me this, Pastor Lee, you need to watch this podcast. And very good podcast, by the way. That's not the issue. But I've begun to push back to the generation and say to them, tell me what this podcast has done to change your life or your actions. And they can't tell me. And so I begin to see they love being inspired. They don't love growing, because growing is painful. Growing is not fun. Growing is often boring. It is doing the same thing over and over again until it matters, until it makes a difference in your daily life. So my challenge today is, this is real brief, real short, but I would hope that if you say you love being challenged, that you really do love being challenged. I don't like being challenged. I'll do it and I'll rise because I want to overcome fears, but I don't like it. And I don't actually like growing. I like the benefits of growing, But growing has not been fun for me. It's been painful most of the time. To have to rethink something that I have thought a particular way for 30 years is not easy, to change my mindset on it and to think differently. So many marriages today are in trouble because a person changes, but they can only see that person through the mistakes made in the first 30 years of the marriage. And even though that person is changing, they can't rethink a thing. And I deal with people all the time that the problem isn't that that person hasn't changed. The problem is their partner can't see them in the light of the new change because they're having to overcome a 30-year mindset. So I know a lot of things that I've thought a particular way over the years that I've had to change, and it's not been fun. It's been hard. It's been painstakingly difficult. But I'm grateful that I understand challenge and growth isn't meant to be fun. It's meant to help you be a better person, a wiser individual, able to help more individuals with what you've learned and what you've understood. So today, I hope that you would be willing to look at your life and go, okay, maybe I don't like being challenged. Maybe I don't like growing, but I like the benefit of it and see it from a different perspective. Maybe you do like being challenged. If you do, kudos to you. Maybe you do like growing. If you do, again, thumbs up. I'm encouraged by you. I have not found that to be true in my life. I've found it to be really difficult and painful. So today, be willing to take a look at your life and be challenged and grow, but understand it's probably not going to be fun. Love y'all so much. Look forward to seeing you next week. I'm going to say hi to a few folks while I still can. Beth, Jimmy, Amber, Jim, Mary, y'all are so faithful. Delana, Stuart, bless y'all. Carol, Liz, David, Wendy, love y'all so much. Look forward to seeing you next week.